Hello, hello. I'm REBL Risty with REBL Labs, and we are here today with Mike Montague with Avenue 9. And we're going to talk about why he's investing in AI and marketing, but putting the human first. So, welcome, Mike. How are you?
Rebel, so good to be here. I'm excited.
Great. Well, can you tell my audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure, I have a little bit of a crazy story, but I'll give you the short version. There's
Great.
three things in my background. I was really into computers in like grade school and started designing websites and designed over 200 of them in the website boom. And then I got into social media, but I didn't want to be a nerd. I wanted to be cool and be on the radio. So I was Romeo on Mix 93.3 and 105.1 Jack FM in Kansas
Yep.
City
You got that
and had a
voice.
blast as a DJ,
Yeah.
entertainer, all that kind of stuff. But obviously, I was on radio then when social media hit. And so I had this big boom. I wrote a book on LinkedIn called LinkedIn the Sandler Way that was published by LinkedIn themselves for salespeople and helping people figure out how to make the most out of LinkedIn to grow their business. And that got me a job. And my third, part of the story is sales and marketing expertise. So that got me a job in marketing agencies and a sales training organization where I get to work for really big companies like the Kansas City Chiefs, Uber, Thermo Fisher Scientific, big brand names helping them improve their sales and marketing. But about 2 years ago, AI kicked in and I kind of learned that I was able to do my content marketing job in a tenth of the time. And I was like, well, why don't I do it for 10 companies then and try and make 10 times the amount of money? So that's how we got here and how Avenue 9 got here.
I like it. Yes, we all want to make more money. And that is a crazy journey. That is so crazy. Really quick, with the LinkedIn book that you wrote, The Sandler Way, is that the Sandler sales tree?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah.
So you're familiar with it. People might have known that. I did that for the last 15 years. I started as a local Sandler trainer in Kansas City and worked my way up to my last position was the global head of franchise strategy, where I coached a team of coaches who coached over 400 coaches
My
in
gosh.
200 locations. I think it was 27 countries and 17 different languages around the world. And I love doing it. I get to write a lot of books, rewrite the sales program, and have all kinds of fun doing that.
Wow. So very legit. Love it. Love it. Well, we're going to fast forward now. So you kind of told us a little bit of like what intrigued you about AI, but maybe tell us a little bit more of like what are you actually doing with AI that's making your life so much better?
Yeah, in this, I think there are a few things. There's obviously just with AI in general, kind of four big buckets. Everybody thinks of generative AI. I'm going to have it write my email, my blog post, my marketing content. And I got really good at that part, mostly through what I call context engineering. Like I interview your founder, your top salesperson, your best clients, your partners or vendors, collect all of that information and feed it into like a custom GPT
Mm-hmm.
that can then write in your voice. And somebody like you and I that have a whole bunch of podcasts out there, AI can actually learn how we speak and what we talk about and our common talk tracks and stories. And so it knows that I got fired by Billy Idol and I wrote the LinkedIn book and I have another book called Playful Humans. And so now it can quote those other things that I've done and it has a lot more context about what Avenue Nine's trying to do, what I'm trying to do, and write better content. But before we jump into that, there's three other things. Predictive analytics is a big one. And so in marketing, we want to know what are the leading indicators that happen before
Absolutely.
somebody buys from us.
Right.
So the example I always give is real estate. If you think, well, I'm in real estate, I need to know who's buying or selling a house. But the problem is you usually find out somebody's buying or selling a house because there's a sign in their yard from
Yeah.
another real estate agent,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
what are those leading indicators? Well, we can use now AI and big data to find out who got married, who got divorced, who had a kid, who became an empty nester, who changed jobs, who moved to a new city. And those are all things that happen before you need to buy or sell
Right.
a house. And those can be really cool leading indicators in marketing. Then we follow up with machine learning and some marketing automation to fill that stuff out. So I think everybody kind of slaps agent on marketing
Yeah.
automation now. And
Yep.
I don't know how autonomous they are or other agents, but marketing automation's been around for a long time. It can do really
Yes.
cool
Yeah.
things now. And then the customization and personalization with machine learning is really cool too. You can market to one person and write one message to one person now, which I think is
Yeah,
awesome too.
which is truly revolutionary when you think about, especially if a small business, you don't have a huge sales team, you can't talk to everybody all the time. So it does help fill that gap until you can get a real person on the line for sure. A little bit back onto the predictive analytics, like what tools are you using for our marketers out there? Is there a specific tool that you like or a number of tools that you're using together?
It can be a number of tools, and I always say that it kind of depends on the budget. It's one of those things you can spend as much money as you have on it if you want. So there's big, huge companies like Merkle that have 60,000 data points on every single American and can tell you, who had a baby 10 years ago and what the hottest boy toy is for a 10-year-old boy this year and market exactly to
Yeah.
that. But for a small business, I think HubSpot is a really good place to start. They have intent signals now, and you can look at buying intent. For B2B companies or larger enterprises, there's stuff like 6sense, which is account-based marketing tools that will tell you like, hey, 57 people inside of this company you're targeting searched for whatever you're trying to sell. Now is a good time to reach out or hit them with marketing messages around that topic.
Right.
And it becomes really cool. You can start seeing trends inside searches and organizations, but sometimes just a Facebook search or a Google search will tell you, like, if you're a local plumber, who posted about a leaky basement or flooding from the rain we just
Right.
had, and you can reach out to those people. So
Okay.
I think there's free tools all the way up to, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Right, just getting creative with it. And then you kind of touched on what's so I'm a HubSpot. Now we're on Go High Level. I've used Salesforce.
Nice.
Yes, marketing automation's been out there for a long time. Maybe tell us how it is different now. I mean, I get it, but maybe for the audience,
Yeah.
like if I'm on HubSpot and I've been doing some, like drip campaigns, to simplify it. Maybe that's how some people are using that automation. What's the difference now? What can they be doing that's different?
Yeah, so I'll kind of bridge the machine learning part in here. There's all kinds of cool tools that add on with generative AI that change those marketing automations to trigger from more things. It's getting more signals, but also personalizing the messages inside the campaign. So one of the coolest ones that I worked on is, are you aware of Sandler, the disc personality profiles?
I'm aware of DISC. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So DISC, for the people that don't know, is basically just sorting people between extroverted, introverted, task-oriented people, or people persons, right?
Yeah. I'm
And
a high
when you put them
D,
in the
high
four
I.
quadrants, yeah, you get somebody that's dominant, that's outgoing, and all about the task, or you get somebody who's an influencer, who's outgoing and all about the people. Then you got steady relators who are people persons, but they're kind of introverted and quiet. They're more facilitators or customer service people.
Yeah.
Then you get these high C's that are compliant and they're the rule followers.
Yep.
They're introverted and they're task oriented.
Yep.
And they love data and figures. So what we did was we used this tool called Humantic that adds on to HubSpot. And it will do research about everybody online, look at their LinkedIn profiles, and it'll guess over 85% accurate on what their DISC personality profile is. And then we take that generic drip campaign and we break it into 4 other campaigns where we rewrite your sales email to be for a high D. And it's short. It's got like 3 sentences.
Right.
It says, your people are screwing up. Here's why they're screwing up. Here's how you fix it. Click this link.
I love it.
Right? And that's for the high Ds. And then the high Cs, we have one that's like, here's our case study report with the reasons that 57% of salespeople miss quota. And it gives data and figures and all kinds of research studies. And then the high I is like, here's how you be liked and you make friends with your sales team and all that kind of stuff. And we rewrote all the language with generative AI to send people the different messages. And it was like a 300 to 3,000% increase in the results, the meeting set and the click-throughs and the opens. And it was hysterical because the high D emails, if you know about this, you could see in the screenshot that like the signature was above the fold. It was a super short email. And the high Cs had the highest unsubscribe rate because they're like, if it's not for them, it's not the right time. Like they're keeping their inbox clean. They're a zero inbox person. They have all these rules set up. And if you don't meet the rules, they're going to unsubscribe. but it's really creating magical results for people, and way better than what we were doing before, which was not bad. It was persona based
Right.
marketing of like, this one's going to the CTO, and maybe we can guess that the CTO is going to be a high C
Yeah.
person, but that's not always true.
Yep.
And so it was persona, but now you can get to the individual person and say like, oh, this person is a 35-year-old early millennial that
Right.
is in customer service with a C personality, and all of these other factors, and it can rewrite the email in real time for those
Wow.
people.
So, and maybe give us like kind of a workflow. So let's say, is it based on like someone comes into the website, but yeah, they're like you said, they're head of IT, and it will go out to their LinkedIn and what was it called? Humanic? That
Humantic,
or
yeah.
Humanity. I mean, and I don't know if I'm simplifying it. I'm just trying to in my mind imagine.
Yeah, I was oversimplifying it a little bit, but if we really want to get into the weeds, there are some of these things. Like if somebody visits the website, it'll log it as an intent signal, but obviously we have to still have them opt in and give us their email.
Mm-hmm.
Once they do that, they become a contact record in HubSpot, and we can have a workflow that will use Humantech to append that data. And HubSpot has their own sort of AI enrichment that they do on
Yeah.
contact records,
Yeah.
which is cool. And it'll give us the LinkedIn profile and other stuff. But a tool like Humantic will give you their personality profile.
Crazy.
So all of a sudden now it's not just what we collected on the form. We really only need their name and email. And then we can use their email to use AI to go look up and enrich all this other information. And we're using these buying signals like, oh, they were on our page for this, SaaS offering,
Yeah.
and they're a CTO, and we know that their personality is this, and we're combining all three into a custom workflow that is, I think, it sounds way more complicated, but really it's just way more specific than what we were doing before, which is somebody filled out this form. When they fill out this form, send them the follow-up email
Yeah.
and then enter them into the strip sequence.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. That is so exciting. And I feel like, as the consumer, if you sit in the other seat, it's such a better experience, right?
Right.
I just think like whenever you go to the grocery store and then you get the coupon, on the back of your receipt or whatever, and all of them are not for you. I'm just like, what a waste of paper. Why
Do you know how many hair care ads I see on a regular basis, Rebel? I haven't bought shampoo in 15 years, and I still get a lot of ads and a lot of
Right?
coupons.
It's just
Yeah.
crazy. So I love that because we're just getting inundated with crap we just don't care about. So it would be nice to finally get an email that speaks to me because I am a high D and high I, which my high I D fight with each other. But with that said, I do like that
Yeah.
short, quick, and I can't stand it when someone sends me a long email. Like, forget it. You just wasted your time. Yeah.
Yeah, those are what moves the needle these days, and buyers are expecting better results. I agree with you that when somebody sends me a message on LinkedIn and I can tell it's a generic AI generated message or a bulk spam that they sent to 1,000 people, and they didn't even look at my profile. I get this a lot with like podcast editing companies and stuff. And no offense to any of them, but I do podcast editing. I told you I was in radio. I've edited audio for 25 years now. I don't need a podcast editing. But if you looked at my profile, you could probably tell.
You should just turn that around and be like, do you need some shampoo?
I'm just going to automatically reply with that
Yeah.
from now on. Yeah.
I love
You're
it.
trying
I
to sell
love
me
it.
shampoo.
Well, so kind of building off of that, I love what you're doing in Avenue 9, and your kind of slogan is putting the human first, or the human into AI. Tell us a little bit about that and what that means.
Yeah, we've basically been talking about it already, which is I think there's kind of two ways you can use AI. One is to build those Terminator spam robots that are these autonomous agents that just go out and send crazy messages to millions of people and hope that somebody clicks on the email and buys something. I think that's a waste of time. It doesn't scale. People get burned by that. Eventually they want to talk to somebody, and it depends on what you're selling. If you're selling toilet paper on Amazon or something, you probably, need to compete on price, and you need to get a lot of messages out there. It's going to be a rough business. But if you're in B2B services and you want to be a thought leader or known for something or a consultant, or you want to even like, it's the difference between like a vending machine or a personal chef, right? So if you're trying to sell stuff out of a vending machine, you want a lot of people walking by.
Yeah.
If you're a personal chef and you charge $10,000 a month or something, you probably only need one really good qualified client, and 99.99% of people are not going to buy from you. So any time spent marketing to them is
Right.
worthless. So the human first approach is, how do I treat it more like Iron Man, where we keep the human at the center of our marketing? Tony Stark, in the Marvel comics, is a funny billionaire. He's charismatic, and he wraps himself in technology that gives him superpowers.
Yep.
And he has Jarvis AI talking in his ear, but not doing his job for him,
Right.
to give him more information and allow him to become the superhero. And we can think about our AI marketing tools the same way. Like, are we putting the customer first in this? Is this something they would want to receive? Are we putting our employees and ourselves first in, like, not automating our jobs and taking away the parts we love doing, but maybe the parts we don't love doing or we can't do? That's something like reviewing, massive amounts of data, or spreadsheets that would kill both of us with our personalities.
Right.
And I think it really is also about putting your message first and your unique value, rather than trying to create like AI slop and just going towards average and middle. But how do we use it to make us more unique and stand
Yeah.
out more in the marketplace?
Yeah.
And that's what I've really been focusing the last year or two on, and it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, I love it. And seeing with us at Rebel, we've been moving into AI and trying to help our clients figure out like how can we automate and integrate AI into your marketing system. But it always comes down to is, do you really understand your audience? Do you have good messaging? Like, what are we trying to achieve? And then AI can help, but it can't be the answer to everything.
Yeah, absolutely. When I work with my clients, I say it's kind of like three basic marketing tenets you need for the marketing strategy, which is, who do you want to be? What do you stand for? What's your brand in the market? Who's your ideal client? What qualifies or disqualifies them? And then what's the change or the message you're trying to seek? Like, how are you solving a problem for them, and what makes you better or different than anybody else in this market space? And then once we figure out that, we can kind of start looking at what channels make sense, what messages make sense, how can we train the AI to create stuff around those messages that help us stand out.
Yeah.
And it just makes all the rest of it a lot easier. And you can start automating things once you know what the process
Yep.
is, and you're not just winging it and throwing out slop, or just changing the message every single time because we don't know
Yeah.
what we stand for or what we're trying to sell.
Yeah, and I think especially for B2B professional services, one of the hardest things for us is to explain how we're different and what we do. So, actually, I was just at a convention this week here in San Diego, the growth hacking, and the big talk was obviously AI. But I feel like kind of the underlying, theme with a lot of the speakers with like, you still need to tell your story. That's how you're going to be different and,
Yeah.
connect on a human level. Yeah, AI is fun and exciting and it's really helping us do a lot more than we ever could. But just don't forget, you're human.
So I'll add a tip to that I think there's a few things that people struggle with in telling their story. One is, you can't read the label from inside the bottle. So it helps to have somebody like outside of your business take a look at it. And whether that's Rebel Marketing or Avenue 9 or even just AI, say, ask me about my business and tell me
Right.
how I'm different than everything else you know about in the industry, right?
Yeah.
Something outside of you helps. The second thing people struggle with is the blank page, right? Like, oh my gosh, I got to write some website copy. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know how a page is supposed to look. And it just gets a paralysis by analysis. And AI can give you that first draft. So just say, write an ugly first draft, but then I'll take these pieces and I'll make it better. And we can do the human reviews and we can start from something. And I found, especially a lot of business owners, they love to edit. They have a hard
Oh
time
yeah.
creating
I,
something
I don't know if that's
from
just business.
scratch.
I think just human nature. To start from scratch is really
Yeah.
hard. All of us can tear and rip stuff apart,
Oh, I'll
no
fix it. Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
But the third one I wanted to get to, which is I found that people have their own format that It's funny in marketing, you can tell that like baby boomers prefer the phone, Gen Xers kind of prefer email, then millennials prefer text message, and then Gen Z or later are on direct messages and Instagram and other apps and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's kind of funny that in content, I found the same way. People have an easy time maybe talking about it in a casual meeting, but they can't write it from scratch because that doesn't work or it takes too long from them. Or they don't mind being recorded, but they don't want it to be on a public podcast,
Yes.
or they don't like being on camera. They don't like the sound of their voice. And so when I work with my clients, I just say, give it to me however you got. If you like to write out an outline for me. If you want to dictate it in your phone, do that. But then I can take AI and change it into all of the other formats we need for marketing.
Yep.
So one of the things I love is podcasts because after we have this conversation, we take the transcript, we upload it to ChatGPT, we say, "Hey, write a LinkedIn post to promote this episode. Give me the 4 1-minute highlights that can be short videos for TikTok or Instagram," and we can say, "Write an email blast out of this or a white paper download out of all the top takeaways." And all of a sudden, all of that remixing we needed to do 2 years ago becomes automated, and we just do the part that we like to get the thoughts out of our head.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's such a great tool, and I absolutely agree. It's helpful in being creative, getting you started. I'm personally StoryBrand certified, and so that's my
Yeah.
approach. And of course, I have my custom StoryBrand GPT, and yeah, it helps. I'm still using the same formula, the process, but man, it's so much faster, and I'm able to iterate so much quicker. What used to take us 30 days, I can do now in a week. You know.
Yeah, I think so too. And what that means for small businesses is goes back to what we did before, which it means, well, now maybe you can do a different one a week for different personas or for people,
Mm-hmm.
or you
Yeah.
can move on and get things done faster, which is great. And so I don't think it eliminates the work as much as like speeds it up and amplifies what you're able to do.
Yeah.
So just even with me for podcasting, I've done thousands of podcast episodes, but it used to take me forever to listen back and edit the whole thing and then type up keywords and write the title and the description. Then I started outsourcing it overseas, and then I was paying other people to do it. And then AI tools came in, and now within 30 minutes, it's all
Yeah.
written,
Well,
edited, scheduled
just
out, and ready to
Riverside
go.
here. I mean, they have
Yeah.
updated their features so much just over the last year with doing the magic clips, the transcripts, they do the titles, they do the timestamps. I mean, yeah, by the time we're done and a few minutes later, it'll all be uploaded and just going, going, going. So I'm totally
Yeah.
with you
So it
there.
allows us to do more and do cool things and be more creative and free our
Yeah.
brains up for other
Yeah,
stuff.
for
I love that.
sure. Because you don't want to be sitting there editing and writing copy. That's not the best use of your time. So I
100%.
really appreciate that. Well, Mike, this has been a great convo. You're obviously good on podcasts and on camera. Really, really appreciate it. If somebody wanted to talk to you about like how you're doing this more customized, content for your contacts in HubSpot, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, I'm really looking for people that want to be known for something. So they want to be thought leaders. They want to create, write a course, write a book, or build a community. Somebody that's trying to do something heavy and hard with content, because then it makes sense that we spend some time building these tools and building the messages and finding a repeatable process for that. But luckily for me, I'm in internet marketing. So if you Google Mike Montague or Avenue 9, I'm not very hard to find. The podcast is called the Human First AI Marketing Podcast. That's doing really well too, with over 50 episodes. You can find that everywhere you're listening or watching this, I would imagine.
Yep, I love it. All right. Well, thanks, Mike. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, same. Great conversation. Thanks, Rebel.
You bet.